Hey guys, and welcome to the second episode of Strapped Up. Yesterday's episode, although this will probably be edited and released later on in the week, was a little bit weak. Very boring, I understand that. It was a basic review and I didn't put enough content in it for it to be interesting for you guys and my 5 subscribers that are actually my friends, and they're not interested in watches. But I'm going to deliver the content anyway because I want to get bigger reach, I want to get some more audiences, and I want to produce some actual useful content and give you something, a reason to watch and subscribe. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm basically going to talk about the basics of watches, the mistakes that I've made, and the things that I think should be known before you're starting to collect, or if you're just picking up a hobby, or if you're just interested in watches in general. I'm going to cover 2 basic topics today, and the first of which is going to be basically fashion watches, how much I value them and what I think that they're worth, and why they play an important role in the industry. And the second thing I'm going to talk about is the mechanical and the quartz sort of comparison, which everyone does and I have to do because it's important for when you start with your collecting. So I'm going to start with a wristwatch check. You probably can't see it because the camera's not very focused, but I'm currently wearing a Tag Heuer Formula 1, the two-tone in yellow gold and stainless steel. Yes, it's a quartz movement, which is why I've started the video today talking about the two, because this was one of the first watches that I purchased, and basically it leads me on to my first subject, which is the fashion watch. So Tag Heuer isn't a fashion watch as such, because Heuer, not Tag Heuer, but Heuer as a brand are really well respected and have made some fantastic timepieces. But I'll go into them, Heuer, into a different video because I haven't done enough research on them to give you any content on that. So the first bit of content I'm going to give you is basically explaining what I think about fashion watches. So from starting off as a collector, I started buying Hugo Boss watches and sort of watches from brands that, you know, make clothing and things like that, and they are just for their design, their visual, their aesthetics. There is no horology or anything interesting mechanically to do with them. So the first thing that I did was I went out and bought a Hugo Boss watch, which was great because it massively got me into the hobby. It started me watching people, got me starting to watch people like the Urban Gentry, and later discovered Bark and Jack, and there were other YouTube channels that I found were sort of inspirational to start me on my collecting path. You might not want to do the same thing. You might just want to see if a watch is worth it, or you might just want to learn something about watches so you can say to someone else you know something about watches. It is one of the niche markets, I guess. Not a lot of people were into them, but the people that are really dedicated. Fashion watches, I don't particularly like fashion watches because they have no importance historically, like the Omega Speedmaster, which I will sort of review in another video, and it's got an importance because it was the first watch on the moon by Buzz Aldrin and Lance Armstrong, but it doesn't have the significance, and for me that's a massive value of a watch if you're going to buy something in this industry. But I do think that they have a value towards the market because they have this, like for example what I said about the Hugo Boss watch that I bought. They dragged me into watches, and then I started respecting the more historically influenced and the more important brands that actually surround the watch world, like Jaeger-LeCoultre and Lang & Sonnet, some of the other more famous, you know, Rolex, Omega brands, and that was what got me into watches. So I can understand that it's good for the watch industry, but it's sort of shameful for all of the actual watchmakers and companies that don't have that reach to the younger people, and it has to leave it to fashion watches to do that. But I mean, that's just how it is. It's sort of how the industry works. The second topic that I'm going to grab onto, because I've got to get this video done quickly, is the mechanics versus quartz. Now, I don't like quartz watches, as ironic as that is because I'm wearing one. this was one of my biggest mistakes from early on in the collecting, is that mechanical watches have more of a soul. Obviously they have the gears and the springs and the drives and the balance wheels that I'll go into in another video. I'll do a basic explanation of how a movement works. But I think that the craftsmanship to create those components, whether they're machined or by hand, whether it's a simple movement or a really high-end horology, I think that the methods used to create this is important. The Quartz watches, I just think, are soulless. There are some good watches out there that are really strong and robust, but I don't think that they particularly gain as much value as the mechanical movements, because there is that character in them. So for me, if you were going to buy your first watch, my first advice is to go for the mechanical, go for something with a see-through case back, and I mean Seiko would be the best place to look for pretty much any price range, from like £20 all the way up to, you know, like £10,000 with the Grand Seikos. There is no range in the watch market that Seiko have not covered. They're a fantastic company, but I'm obviously not endorsed by them and they don't pay me anything to say that. I just think that as a watch geek that they are a fantastic value for money. There are a couple of other brands that I think are a good value for money, like the Vostok has a massive cult following with their good designs. They've got certain designs that help them with compression and you know, keeping their robustness as they are, and that Vostok as a company are incredible as well, and I definitely guarantee you to look at their watches, but they're harder to find and they're quite hard to get hold of because they have such a following now. I need to address the situation. You guys need to, if you want any videos to be made, I'd like you to comment, or like when you like and subscribe my videos, hopefully I'd like you to comment and give me some ideas for video content. And I will keep producing content regardless, but if you give me ideas, I'll cater to what you want to know more than what I can provide to you. So if you either inbox me or send me an email or comment on the video, that would be really helpful, and I can keep making good content that you guys will hopefully actually want to watch. So I want to thank you all for watching today's video, taking your time out to click on this, and I'd like you to like and subscribe if you can, to get some more of my content, which will improve over time. I'll get better at editing and shooting and filming. I'll get better equipment, and hopefully increase my inventory of watches so I can do better reviews on more stuff. I'll hopefully be posting videos regularly, and I'd like to thank you all for watching.